Welcome, everyone, once again to SoCo Chat, a podcast where we discuss all things concerning the county of Sonoma here in our beautiful corner of Northern California. Once again, I'm your host, Paul Gullickson, Communications Manager for the county of Sonoma. And today we have a great pleasure to have as our guest, Jon Stout, manager of the Sonoma County Airport. And we'll talk to Jon in just a minute. But before we do, I want to give you the trivia question for the week. As you know, the airport is officially called the Charles M. Schulz Sonoma County Airport in honor of the creator of the Peanuts comic strip, who used to make this his home right here in Sonoma County. So our question today is related, of course, to Charlie Brown and the gang. Our question is this: what is the name of Snoopy's brother? And as a bonus question, where does Snoopy's brother live? If you know, call us at 707-565-2242. That's 565-2242. Or email us at publicaffairs, one word, at sonoma-county.org. And if you're correct, your name will be entered into our weekly drawing for a chance to win one of our SoCo Chat coffee mugs. We'll also throw in a sticker or two with that. So anyway, you don't want to miss that opportunity. With that, let's get on with our conversation. Jon, thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, this has been an exciting year for Sonoma County's airport. You've had some significant improvements, and including adding a new terminal and redoing the main entrance. You've also had a number of additions and new routes. Just last week, Alaska announced that in the fall, it'll start offering daily nonstop flights between Santa Rosa and Las Vegas. That's exciting. And that came just a few weeks after Avelo announced that they'll be making Sonoma County Airport one of its hubs starting in May. This is all really exciting. Why don't you start by giving listeners an overview of what airlines and destinations are served now?
All right. The year's been very exciting. I didn't think 24 would be as busy as exciting as it was last year in 23. 23, as you know, was when we completed all the construction activities on the terminal facility, and having that opened up and having a real front door has been a huge change in our customer experience at the airport.
Right.
And we get great feedback and commentary on it. We're still doing some tweaks to some of the amenities. But compared to where we were in 2020,
right,
operating out of modulars and trailers and trying to squeeze it in, completely different airport.
Yeah.
So trying to build on that success. On the air side, I'll start with our smallest carrier, American Airlines. They're flying to Dallas and Phoenix. Right now, Dallas is on a suspension. They will be coming back early in May.
Okay. And
this year, they'll be a little different. Last year, they were using the smaller regional jets with about 76 seats. And they're going to start flying that with the Airbus 319 with about 145 seats. So more capacity and a better experience. Some people don't like those smaller aircraft, but others say, well, you always get a window or always get an aisle.
Yeah.
So no middle seats.
Yeah.
Phoenix has been a strong market for them. We're trying to get them to continue Dallas year round.
Okay.
Hopefully with the larger aircraft, that helps that case, because when they've been using the smaller aircraft, they take weight penalties during the summer, either from storms in Dallas or because of heat in Santa Rosa. And they actually have to deny boardings in those instances. And there's been as many as 10 to 12 people that have not been able to get on the aircraft.
Oh, no.
With the Airbus, that problem will go away.
Okay.
And so that's been one of the factors that, well, we're not filling the planes. Well, okay, why don't you fly at 9 in the morning instead of 3 in the afternoon?
So you have these kind of conversations with them,
we do.
Giving them suggestions of how they can improve.
But they also go, well, that's when the plane can come to Santa Rosa. Do you want it or not?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, we want the plane.
Well, that would explain why sometimes we have odd times for flights, but that's okay. If you have direct flights, that's worth it, right?
And then on Avelo, we were their first commercial flight of their history. So Burbank to Santa Rosa was the first revenue production flight, and they started in 2021. Probably not the strongest year to start, but they
right in the middle of COVID.
They did say, well, it could also be the best time.
Yeah.
People are looking for those leisure opportunities.
Absolutely.
They're extremely focused on leisure activities. We've been doing very well with them. They've grown to 4 markets in Santa Rosa. Started with Burbank. That is now up to 6 days a week, and on some days twice a day. They then added Burbank and Palm Springs and Bend, Oregon. So that was our last destination they added last fall. That was one of those interesting ones. We've never had a conversation with Avelo about Bend. Why Bend?
Mm-hmm.
And so they finally admitted, well, we've been flying Bend Burbank for a while, and it's been doing well. We have a great penetration with our frequent flyer email programs in Bend, and we have the same thing in Santa Rosa, and we thought we'd connect the markets.
Hey, Ben's a great destination. I haven't flown that flight yet, but I'm going to.
But it's done really well, and it's like, hey, find more cities that are like that.
Well, obviously they like something because they've now decided to make this their hub, and they did some other expansions.
Yes. And because of the success of our markets, we actually, besides Burbank, had the most flights or destinations on Avelo. And they like the market. The CEO and president of Avelo has been always very strong on Santa Rosa, and he knew when he was going to start an airline, he had to do something in Santa Rosa from his prior experience in the airline industry. They mentioned when they first started, there might be a time that we want to base airplanes in Santa Rosa. And it's like, okay, well, we'll see. Late last fall, they started real discussions about it, and it was probably a 4-month discussion of how it would work. Do we have the space? Because then they need warehouse, they need a remote parking spot, and also being able to hire upwards of 50 people to support it.
Yeah.
And with that decision, they're going to have 2 aircraft based in Santa Rosa. They need to keep them busy. And so we had been also talking to them about new markets and opportunities, and they added our largest announced new markets ever. We've never had 4 markets announced in one time. And so they added Kalispell or Glacier Park, Pasco, Washington, Salem, and Boise. So finally got that Boise connection.
Boise connection.
A lot of people have been asking for.
Right.
So they've done very well, and if it continues at the pace that they've experienced, we may see new destinations, and they may base another aircraft.
Well, it's not only exciting about the destinations, but it's very affordable.
Yes,
and people have been saying that. Now, meanwhile, Alaska continues to do well in our market, right?
Alaska's been in the market since 2007, so they came in when we had nobody, and so they kind of view themselves as the hometown airline. So they've been there a long time. They carry about 65% of our total passenger traffic.
Okay.
So, of course, they are the big airline. They're doing Seattle, Portland, San Diego, Los Angeles, Orange County, and Burbank. And as you said, they'll start flying to Las Vegas. And so they're continuing to grow. And they are increasing seat capacity 23% over last year.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of that is they're starting to fly mainline aircraft as well. So the Boeing 737s, they'll be doing 2 of those a day to Seattle this summer.
Oh, that's great. Well, I got to say, we're Alaska users. I have a daughter who's going to college in Oregon and a son who's just got graduated. He's living in Costa Mesa. So I'm taking the flights to Eugene and Portland and down to Irvine, Orange County, and those are so convenient. My wife and I are spoiled flying out of Sonoma County.
So have you signed up for their subscription program?
Yes, we had the flight plan program for a while where you had the credit every 2 months if you use their flights, and it was great. It was really a great program. So, but we also want to take advantage of the Avelo program. I just got to say, it's so convenient flying in and out of Sonoma County, and especially with the changes to the terminals. You got the baggage claim area now. It's just it's so much easier getting that. Tell us about the response you've gotten concerning the terminal expansions.
I've done a little bit of joking with some of our partners. We went from a trailer park to actually representing wine country. Nothing like a triple wide modular for your passenger experience. And that was a big push on the design. We want to represent that sense of place. So when you get off the plane, you feel like you're in wine country.
Yeah.
And that's why we went with the wood and the glass and the high ceilings. And if you notice our wainscoting around the terminal, that's actually barrel staves. So that was a feature our architects like, it's wine country, got to put something in there.
Right.
But we did embrace our namesake, so Charles Schulz. And
a lot of Peanuts references. And
it met our public art component,
of course,
for public facilities. And we have it throughout the terminal. Every bathroom has mosaic tiles of characters. So they're represented with different characters. We have the Peanuts on Parade statues. We have the bronze statues out front. But the other piece is when we were so limited on space, we didn't have room for amenities. Nothing like just having a single vending machine for your gate experience. Well, I want something to eat and drink before I get on the plane. It's a vending machine. So we also looked at, you got to have a wine bar
Right.
in the gate area in wine country. So that was a big focus, and we have a great partner in that, and that's been open since last August. It is very popular, and that's probably the biggest thing we hear about is, thank you for letting me have a glass of wine before I get on a plane.
I love it. Yeah.
We also have expanded vending, not that we're going into a different type of vending now. We're trying to do some local vending and other name brands. So we have the kind of the high-end electronics. We have Cousteau. So we have Cousteau on the go outside the terminal, but they also have a grab-and-go vending machine, pre- and post-security. We just have Canteen Meats, a local Salamari company. They just put in a machine in the last month. We're working with a company called Yokai Express. We're hoping to get an udon noodle bowl vending machine.
Yeah.
We're running into a few issues with the health department on the canteen area where they can service the machine.
Right.
Once we do some minor upgrades for that, we'll get that machine.
Meet their standards for food handling and all that. Yeah.
That way, we have amenities for passengers when the wine bar, the restaurant, and the limited service restaurant are closed.
Yeah.
We also have Apple Spice that has not a full kitchen, but they can serve hot food and sandwiches in the gate area. So now we could remind people you can go past security and you can actually have some amenities.
Yeah. No, the gate area is so nice. It's so relaxing. And getting, I just have to say, getting through security is such a breeze. Because I've been here at my office, an hour before my flight, and I still catch my flight with time to spare. So,
well, we do caution travelers on that.
I know I'm setting a bad example. I realize
there are times of the day, yes, where that is not a problem. But as we add more frequency and we use the larger aircraft, we only have the 2 lanes at the checkpoint, and we don't control when the airlines decide to come.
Right.
From about noon to 4 in the afternoon,
it can get pretty
get a little tight, and it can take upwards of 30 minutes to get through security. Okay.
Well, I'll remind myself of that. Thank you for that reminder. So what are we talking about in terms of passengers going in and out of the airport? How has that? I mean, I assume that's really gone up in the last few years.
It has. Prior to COVID, we were hitting our 10th year of year-over-year increases.
Yeah.
Not significant increases, but every year gone up a little bit. Of course, took a huge dip in COVID the first 2 years. But since 2021, we got almost back to pre-COVID. 22, we got to surpass COVID. For 22 compared to 19, we were up 36% over pre-COVID numbers.
Oh.
And in 23, we were up about 6%. And this year we're expecting, well, originally I wasn't expecting a whole lot of increase. I was thinking maybe 5 and 6%. But with the Velo adding the new destinations and Alaska adding Las Vegas, we will go from about 645,000 passengers to probably around 800.
Okay.
That's both in and out. So those 4 flights will add about 150,000 new passengers.
Okay. Well, so let's talk about parking and transportation. I mean, with this influx of new riderships, you got to also expand your parking list. Tell us what you're doing or what you have planned in that area.
Right now, it's a little bit tight. We only had a couple days last year where we filled up, but we have on-street parking on Airport Boulevard and a side street called Flight Line and Ordnance. It's a pay-by-app scenario when we have to engage.
You just have a QR code and you download.
Yeah. So that's helped with some of the overflow, but this summer we're looking at that. We're doing forecasting, and it's going to be a little tighter. We've worked closely with Smart, so we have the Smart Connect shuttle.
So you're encouraging people to use Smart Train if they can?
Smart Train, drop-off, Uber, Lyft, alternate methods would be great because we will, depending on the high or the low forecasting, we could be short about 200 spaces.
Okay.
And what we're doing to resolve that, we know that'll be our next challenge at the airport. We're actually looking at building a temporary lot while we work on a consolidated rental car facility to get all the rental cars out of the various lots. It's about 40,000 square feet, but we're going to use that for the employees. So then all the employees will get out of the lots and use it for staging for not the rental cars ready to pick up, but the next wave of rental cars available.
Okay.
That'll give us about 350 spaces, so that'll help a lot with that need. And when we have those peak demands, we'll have the rental cars move out and use that for passenger overflow.
Yeah.
And it's right next to the long-term A parking lot. and that should be ready by the end of June, early July. Working on bidding for that.
Okay.
And we've started to look at longer term scenarios. We've gotten some ROMs, rough order of magnitude pricing
Yeah. Okay.
for a 2-story or 3-story garage.
Okay.
They're very expensive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right now, the capacity to do something like that's not quite there.
Yeah.
We're also we're part of public infrastructure. So I've been talking to the director of what would it take to move the road yard?
Okay.
We have the county road yard right on airport property, right at the entrance to the airport.
Right.
That's a big parcel.
Yeah.
I could put a lot of surface parking there.
Yeah. So those are some of the long-term, down
Yes.
the road options that you're kind of exploring at this
But
point.
we know that's going to be a need in the next year or two.
Yeah. Well, speaking of needs, I know you also have routine maintenance issues keeping up the airport. There's always things that need to be brought up to speed. And I know the airport recently received its annual report from the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, which ensures airport safety. And one of the things that the report points out was we need to do some work on the runway, right? There's
Correct.
one of the runways that there's an issue there. You talk about that. What's the issue?
So to have commercial air service at an airport, we have to be recognized by the FAA under, it's called FAR, Federal Aviation Regulations, Part 139.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the regulations that certify an airport to have commercial air service.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fairly lengthy section, and there's a lot, pretty much tells you how to run an airport and
Right.
what you need to do. And they do an annual inspection every year on our compliance. And so they come for about 3.5, 4 days, and they go through everything from paperwork, training, airfield inspections, talk to the tower, fueler inspections, and do a thorough review of the airport.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like an audit of how we're doing.
I was going to say like an audit. Yeah.
And typically they have findings every year, areas that we could improve, or
Mhm.
we didn't do some paperwork right, or the pavement painting that we've been monitoring
Yeah.
is now to the point where
It needs
okay,
to
you
be
need to paint
repainted.
it.
Yeah.
so those are typical. This time we had quite a few markings we need to address.
Mm-hmm.
When we did the runway extension and completed that in 2014, we did a thermoplastic type product. They're about an 8 to 10 year life. And unfortunately, they're all coming to the end of life.
At the same time.
And we had quite a few of those that need it. But then the 3/4 of the runway we didn't touch when we extended the runway. It was last repaved in 2001. And so it's aging pavement.
Okay.
You're starting to experience some issues. We have a culvert that goes under the runway, and that's starting to deteriorate, and it needs to be addressed. And so they
So it's like a bump there or something.
we have two
Recess.
areas. One, we have a culvert, FAA conduit that goes under the runway. It's
Mhm.
encased in concrete, and we have dissimilar settlement. So on
Mhm.
either side of it, we don't have such a rigid base.
Okay.
So the concrete part doesn't settle as quick, and the others
The others
did.
does. I see.
And so it creates kind of a ridge and
Mhm.
allows for a little bit of ponding. They gave us directions on how to monitor that and said, okay, we would like you to address this by June.
Mm-hmm.
And so we submitted our plan. They've signed off on it, and now we're working to do the repairs.
So you're we have plans to take care of all this stuff
Correct.
by June.
It's still within standards, but it's enough of it's starting to change a little bit more. So they just want to make sure
They've signed
don't get
off
out.
on it. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So the culvert needs to be replaced, right? And,
Yes.
and is that going to require shutting down the runway for a little bit?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we looked at many different ways. We tried to do it solely at night, so
Mhm.
we wouldn't impact very many commercial activities. But looking at all the different methods to repair it, the pipe is unfortunately 12 feet under the runway.
Oh, geez.
It's a 24-inch pipe. There's just no easy way.
Right.
And you could do a slip line. They call it jack and bore, where you basically split it and pull in a new rigid pipe.
Uh-huh.
But they can't guarantee some of the structural elements. And it's
Mhm.
like, well, I don't want a
Let's
partial
do it right.
fix.
Yeah.
Let's do it right. So we've elected to go with a total dig out
Mhm.
and excavate, build back up, repave. And right now we're estimating we'll be able to do that in about 20 hours.
That's amazing. You can do that all in 20 hours.
Yes. So we're looking at a Tuesday.
Mhm.
So shutting down the runway, the main runway, at about 10 p.m. after the last flight of the day,
Mhm.
and going for about 20 hours and 3 shifts, get it done,
Yeah.
and then reopen.
Just bite the bullet and get it done. So it'll probably affect some of those morning flights, but
Correct.
it'll limit the impact.
we picked a Tuesday because it's only 9 or 10 departures.
Okay.
If we went on a Wednesday or the Monday, we'd be looking at 15.
Okay.
So significantly more. And we're working with our airline partners. They do have aircraft that'll work on our secondary runway. That'll still be open. And they're working through that right now and making sure everything's going to be safe and it meets their capacity needs. But we're looking at June 18th or June 25th to do this complete closure of the main runway. And
well, we'll be certainly putting out information and letting customers. I know you'll be letting customers know about all this and what's happening, and so will we. But from your perspective, what's the best place to get for the public to get the latest information about the airport, whether it concerns flight schedules, travel alerts, anything like that?
We've got a couple different venues. Our flysts.com website, we do put notices. So, like if we do have those parking issues, we put up alternate means for parking or encouraging you to find an alternate means to get to the airport. We also have Facebook, and we do the other social media channels. So that would be an option. We also have our newsletter. So if you're looking for a little bit more stuff that has a little bit more shelf life, the newsletter is a great way to hear about fare sales or other happenings at the airport, like our job fair or other things that's going on.
So how do you sign up for the newsletter?
Just through our main webpage.
We go to the main web page and they'll plug in your email address. All right, and we always, as always, we encourage people to follow the Sonoma County general Facebook page because we often share a lot of things that you're putting on your page as well. So that's another way to get that information. Let's shift to the personal side a little bit. Tell us what do you like most about your job?
I've been an airport manager for a little over 30 years.
Okay,
and I'd say the best part about it is I've never had 2 days the same.
Oh yeah, well that's probably true.
And for me, it's a lot of projects we do at the airport take years. I was hired in 2002, and the board wanted us to do the runway extension to get air service back. And not being familiar with California environmental, when I came back to Sonoma County, I didn't think it'd be that difficult. We started construction in 2013, and they had started looking at that in 1999. And we finished late 2014. So,
yeah, that was a big project.
And the terminal project, we started looking at design efforts in 2015, and we finished it last year.
Yeah.
So those bigger capital projects can take anywhere from 4 to 10 years.
That's amazing. Well, the terminal project certainly was a bit. We were out there for the 3 phases, and it was exciting to see each one celebrated. And you should be proud of all the work that's been done out there. So, on a personal side, tell us what do you like to do in your free time and your hobbies? Have you always been interested in aircraft, I assume?
In high school, I wanted to be a pilot.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that want to be a pilot in high school.
Oh.
So I looked at the military route, and unfortunately, my eyesight didn't meet the 20/20 requirement for military flying, and went to University of North Dakota, started going into be a commercial pilot.
Okay.
But it's expensive. And so I like airports because of the sense of being able to travel. You can go to an airport and 12 hours later, 15 hours later, you can be almost anywhere in the world. And that's, to me, what really drew me into it. And I shifted over to airport administration and haven't looked back since.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's your last question. Whether it's a hiking trail, a restaurant, a secret spot, where's your go-to place if you kind of want to get away and just enjoy being here in the North Coast?
I wouldn't say it's a secret spot, but the go-to, if you just want to get away and have a enjoyable weekend, head out towards the coast, stop at Corbell, hit the deli, a little bit of the redwoods, and then go out to Jenner and hang out at the beach.
You recommend the deli at Corbell? I don't think I've been there.
It's been a little while since I've been there, but yes.
Yeah. That's a great. That reminds me, I was there years ago, and I haven't been back. I'll give it a try. Well, you reminded me of a number of things I want to do, including some places I want to fly. So, well, we appreciate you being with us. As a thank you for being our guest, we'd like you to take your SoCo Chat podcast mug and as a thank you gift. And we also want to provide a mug for anybody who is willing to answer is able to answer our trivia question for this week. Once again, our question is this: what is the name of Snoopy's brother? And the bonus question is, where does he live? If you know, give us a call at 565-2242. Again, that's 565-2242, or email us at publicaffairs@sonoma-county.org. And if you're correct, we'll put you into our drawing for our SoCo Chat coffee mug and some of our SoCo Chat stickers. Also, we'd like to say, if you have any other comments about this or any other segment, or have a suggestion for a topic for a future SoCo Chat discussion, please email us at that same address, publicaffairs@sonoma-county.org. And we hope you will continue to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, and of course, YouTube. We hope to see you next time. Thank you, Jon.
Thank you.